there. Music
Scuffed host.
I tried, man. One man band here. There we go. Music gone. Saved. Can I get some saved in the chat?
It's actually just 2 more episodes than you're gonna make it to. That's
yeah, I know, dude.
the next one we got to bring in somebody else.
Jesus, come on, man. Don't be like this, Dom. Don't be like this. All right. Save.
I heard Zyrene's looking for work.
Yeah. So did I.
Shit.
I heard he's looking for work. I hope he keeps looking. All right. So how was your experiences this week watching LCS and then seeing if some stupid bot lane combo took over your solo queue? Did you guys see any of the Taric Sona bot lane?
I didn't see any of it yet. I haven't seen one Taric Sona yet.
Dom told me that if you play Taric Sona, you're not allowed to touch women anymore. So
yeah, but for Loco, that's not a problem anyway. So he's just not. He's gonna play all the Taric Sona he wants.
He's like,
yep,
perfect.
No, no loss here.
Yeah, no loss.
All right, let's get into the week's action. Starting with what actually happened a full week ago. We're gonna go right off the bat. We're not even going to use the tweet of the week transition. Let's just no time to warm up either. Dom, take it away. Let's talk about freaking 100 Thieves and the Huhi tweet right here. We'll put it up on the screen for you.
Oh,
Today
man.
we part ways with Huhi through all the challenges this LCS split. Jay's work ethic, positivity, and professionalism always stood out. He'll be a valuable addition to any team he joins. We wish him the best. And I don't think I've seen you as livid since it's such a long time. Go for it.
Yeah, probably for like at least a couple of days, right? Like,
yeah.
Jesus. I mean, I don't know. I just hate fucking statements like these by organizations. I feel like there's ways where you can still portray the player in like a kind of positive light and be like, hey, like even though it didn't work out here, he still has these positive attributes, and like for a different team, I think that he could be like a fit. He just didn't fit well for our team. Even if like realistically he's just too bad to play LCS or whatever. The idea of he would be a good fit for any team. Bitch, you're 10th place. He's not a fucking good fit for your team. Whose team is he gonna be a good fit for? Like literally, you are the 10th place team, and you can't even have him on your roster. So what you think he's a good fit for any team? Oh, so if TSM kicked Bjergsen, Huhi would be a good fit for that team? He's gonna be the one that's gonna come in there and win you some fucking games? No, dude. It's this like he played terrible, right? He maybe you don't have to say, yeah, he's dog shit, that's why we're kicking him. I'm not saying that. You shouldn't be like that upfront about it, but don't give me this bullshit about he's a good fit for any team. Like, come on. Like that's so unrealistic.
So you would have been fine if it said everything it said, but in the end, instead of saying he'll be a valuable addition to any team he joins, we wish him the best, it just says thank you, Huhi. Like at the end, that's all it needs to say, and then you'll be chill.
Yeah, pretty much. Like if as long as it's just like, or it's something. Okay, so for me, there's that, but then there also needs to be some like reasoning as to why there's a roster change being made. Like for me, like if they said he didn't work well with like our team or something like that, or like he wasn't a good fit for our team. Like I think there needs to be some reason. It's like you are cutting a player. You're not trading him. You're not like you are cutting a player from your roster. There has to be some reason that you're doing it. So I want to hear like, oh, he didn't work well. Like it didn't fit. It didn't work out with him this split or something like that.
Well, the flip side of that is what Golden Guardians did with High, where it's, well, we have 4 great players. Now we have 5. And we got destroyed for that. We got absolutely wrecked for that. And like,
yeah, I mean, I think there's a middle ground though.
Wait, Daniel, the High thing is completely different. You have to treat legacy players differently. I think it was so different for High. It was so different for Meteos because of the fan base they have. But with player like Huhi, I do think they could have been a little bit more honest. And also, I don't think anyone would have shot on 100 Thieves for shitting on Huhi.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they don't have to shit on him, but it's just if you're gonna release a statement like, oh, we're cutting this player, there has to be something that validates the idea of like, this is why we are cutting this player.
I don't watch all their content, but I'm pretty sure they said something in one of their videos, right? On why they're cutting it.
Great. So in one of those videos, put that in the statement. like I'm not gonna sit there and watch like their shitty video series or whatever it is, the heist. No, I'm not gonna sit through that. I don't want to watch the heist on a 10th place team. I'll watch TSM series, I'll watch TL series, I'll watch the good team series, but I don't want to watch just like
10th place team.
A bunch of 10th place team, a bunch of like depressed ass players that are sitting there like, why does it keep on going bad? I don't know. Find out next week. Like, no, that's just not what I'm gonna be sitting through.
Damn.
That's not worth my time. So
I'm actually gonna argue with you on that. I think the series are much more fun when the team is losing. Like when TSM and TL, they're always winning, and you don't get to see Andy a lot anymore. And You don't ever get to see Double Lift argue with
God.
someone anymore. Like their series is so clean cut. Like it's them always winning. I would love to see a series on teams losing. So
I mean,
actually,
I'm okay with like them kind of losing. Like for example, the TSM episode that will probably come out next week where they go 0-2 down to C9. I'm okay with the adversity, but I want there to be like some hope instead of just pure desperation when I'm watching it. Like I don't want to watch. It's like, okay, guys, I know that we're like 4-14, but you know maybe next split will be better. Like that shit. Like I don't want to fucking watch that shit. Shit sounds so miserable.
So what about the move in general here? Like, so we've talked about how it's been, put out and perceived, but Huhi is the one now that gets the scapegoat. He's the scapegoat now for 100 Thieves' woes. Where do they go from here, and where does Huhi go from here, other than the retirement farm? Is there another place for him?
I don't think an LCS. I don't think he can make an LCS team anymore. I think there's 0 slots.
For mid lane, for sure. And then he said he moves down to role swap to jungle or support. I think he'll probably play Academy. In Academy, the ideal setup is 1 veteran and 4 brand new players, because you don't want 5 rookies. 5 rookies is a recipe for disaster. At least 1 veteran to shot call and kind of show them the way is really valuable. So he'll probably make it onto an Academy team.
I mean, would you want to play Academy at that point if you were Huhi?
He said he's looking for all offers for LCS Academy, jungle support mid. So you kind of have to follow a pill to go down to Academy as a player, but it seems like he wants to keep playing, so he probably will.
I respect that. Like maybe he like I played against him. He's played support in my solo queue games. He actually looks like not bad as support, but I don't know how much of that is just NA solo queue being so bad right now that like anyone can look good. It's like I look good most of my games. Like I don't know if I'm LCS ready, so like what the fuck.
All right, I think we've filled our 100 Thieves quota for the show. We gotta get moving on. Hopefully they'll find an answer sometime soon. Let's move on to the next topic here. It is the thing that took over playoffs. Thank you, Academy. On Friday, it was the Taric Sona bot lane, and I would like to have Loco, you break this bot lane down here. Taric Sona, 2 supports, a little bit of range. Why is this a thing?
Just the sustain between them is so much, and also Sona will go. Do you guys remember the old Frostmancy meta where Karma would go top, or something would go top? Zillion would go top with Frostmancy, which is Kleptomancy plus Frostfang, and earn gold without really killing CS. And then mid game you would have double support with Wars, and then one of the support would actually be a full-on AP carry also. And it kind of works in that way, where Sona is doing Frostmancy with Taric, and mid-game, so there's so much sustain between Sona and Taric, and the team fighting is so strong. And everyone always says you counter it by outscaling it. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the counters.
Yeah,
but
fuck that.
That is not a counter.
Yeah, that's so fucking dumb. I mean, we can talk about that later if you want, but I actually just think the bot lane combo is just OP. Like that's my perception of it. I don't even think that these people are playing it super super well. Like when I watched like Sneaky gave up a free kill in lane when he was playing it into like Luluvain, which he probably shouldn't have done. And then like I don't think Double Lift is a practiced like perfect Sona player or anything. But this bot lane, like I don't think there's that much you could do. It's so fucking stable. It has so much sustain, and I feel like it just puts such a weight on the enemy team. Like I feel like if you're a bot laner, you'd almost rather see anything else than see Sona Taric on the enemy team.
So what I heard from team is you can actually put a lot of pressure onto it by playing stuff like Lucian Galio, playing stuff like Callista Galio. Galio is like a really good core to breaking this open, and then a strong AD like Lucian and Callista behind it. There's also other things you can do like Heimer, Fiddle, and then push it in all the way, and then keep diving it. Because this is not a lane that can push very well once you have them shoved in. But all these counters, if you fuck up, and you allow them to like just function, like you have to play so well to counter this, and then if you make one mistake and they get to mid game, it's so hard to beat in team fight. And go ahead, Dom.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that that's the same. Whenever something's OP, that's what people always say. They'll always just have this mentality of like, oh, there's something that we can do against it. Also, I'm getting like reverb. I'm coming through someone else's mic, I think. But yeah, for my perception of it, it's like if you have something where you have to play these really specific counters, and if you fuck up once, then it's not a counter anymore. That doesn't even seem like a counter anymore. It reminds me of when Azir was super meta in Season 5. People were like, oh, dude, don't worry. Azir is broken, but what you do is you play Vel'Koz into it, and if you like get that 10 CS advantage in lane, you can sometimes out team fight him with your range or some shit. And it's like, all right, man, if you guys want to be picking like Heimer Fiddle in this meta bot lane and just push it in, you want to try to beat it like that, good for you. But I mean, I feel like Sona Taric, the easiest way is you just ban one of the champions. You just ban the Sona, ban the Taric, then you're good.
So you actually have to ban the Taric. So there's another variation of it where you go Karma Taric instead of doing Sona Taric, and you scale much faster, but you're weaker in teamfight because you don't have CC. So yeah, if you are playing versus this, make sure you ban Taric, not Sona.
I feel like Karma Taric is nowhere close as scary though as Sona Taric. I feel like Sona is just way better in terms of like scaling. Like the thing that's so OP about AP Sona that I didn't even see people use this that much. And I think the strongest part about Sona, like if you watch really good Sona players, like I think the best Sona player like I've ever seen is Consensual Clown.
I knew you were gonna say that.
No, I straight up think that he is like one of the best Sona players in the world. And one thing that I've learned from watching him so much is how OP the W power chord is. It's so you can proc it so often, right? It's 3 spells. You can just EQ W, and this is like 5-second cooldown, and it is essentially a stronger version of Exhaust late game. Like even with like 250 AP, it's a 40% damage reduction on cooldown. So you can play around that so easily. Like if you're just spamming W and you're just hitting, like anyone tries to dive, you hit them with a fucking W, and they're screwed. They don't do any damage. And it's one thing that you reduce that much damage. It's another thing that a lot of people don't really take it into account. It's kind of hard to know when like a Sona W power corded you in a fight. You know, it's not super obvious where something like Exhaust.
Really subtle.
Yeah, it's super subtle, and it actually is super powerful. So I don't know. I think Sona Taric is just an OP bot lane. That's my perception.
When does it fall off? Like everyone's like, oh, you have to outscale it. When does it fall off?
It does not, dude.
So I mean, technically, it will fall off when you have like a hyper carry with QSS, like what TSM was trying to do. Lulu Vayne, I understand it. Like 4 to 5 items, yes, you'll outscale it, but the game's already over at that point, and they're fucking knocking on your inhibitors.
Yeah, but I mean, then like even then, Taric still has his ulti to make you invulnerable for multiple seconds. Like I don't think that lane scales as bad as everyone thinks it does.
Well, the thing is, you're taking scaling from other lanes. Like they're playing it with Hecarim, and then the other duo that people play it with is Yasuo Gragas from mid and jungle, and it makes the scaling so good from the other parts of the map, and you're just functioning as double support in mid game. Like you can draft carries in top lane, jungle, and mid.
Yeah. I think it's just really fucking strong. I'm also still hearing myself. I don't know why.
It's not on my end. I've turned everything down on my end. So
is it me, Dom, or
Loco.
you have your stream on?
Mute real quick, and then let me. Hello. No, I'm still hearing myself, even through that.
All right, do it one more time.
I'm muted. I was muted just now, so
check,
it's not me.
check. Okay, then I don't hear it. No, I hear it again.
All right. Well, anyways, what do you think of people allowing Sona Taric in their first best of 5? Like every single team did it. Cloud9 Academy, TSM Academy.
Didn't they all lose?
They all let Sona Taric go in the first game with the best of 5, and then they started banning it later down the series. What do you think?
Wait, I didn't watch the Academy series, but did the Academy did they lose to the Sona Taric?
Yeah, TSM played
they
lost, and then
okay.
C9 banned it.
So everyone just lost to Sona Taric.
Yep.
So to me, that just shows how OP it is, because these people know what's coming. Like it's like this is what's happening. They see the Sona Taric, like, and these people are picking it early, right? Like I think in the TL series they at least picked it early.
1-2. Yeah.
1-2.
Yeah, it's 1-2. So if they're picking it 1-2 and you still can't find the counter to it, like this shit is OP right now.
All right. Well, let's get into the match that pulled it out first. It was the TSM Cloud9 matchup here. The current El Clasico, I guess it used to be CLG, but now C9 and TSM, what could have been a finals match, win all 5, and it started off with that Sona Taric sneaky bot lane, and again, they fed early, but were able to find the win. Guys, what was your overall impression of this series? Because it seemed to be Cloud9's until they threw it away.
I thought C9 would win. Like my prediction going into the series was 3-1. I thought C9's top side was so much stronger. I was so surprised by what C9 was doing in game 4 and 5, but Dom, you can go ahead.
No, I mean I thought the same way. I thought C9 would probably win the series, but I kind of wanted TSM to. I feel like TSM just matches up better into TL as like a finals team. The thing that scares me about TSM is it seems like they're a really slow starting team in best of 5s. Like if you look at the Echo Fox series, they dropped a game and they looked kind of shaky in the first game. This series they dropped the first 2 games. I feel like that's where they could potentially get beat out by TL, because they're actually giving up like big advantages, and it feels like they scale kind of into the series. Like it seems like as the series goes on, Akadian becomes like
More
more
comfortable.
comfortable. Yeah,
Yeah.
like able, like his ganks look way better. His engages mainly look way better
Mhm.
in the later parts of the series than they do in like the first couple games. So um yeah, I don't know. They're kind of scary in that respect, but I think that they're probably the best or second best team right now.
I think it's nerve for Acadian because this is his first playoff like run. He's never been in playoffs before.
Yeah.
So it has to be like nerve breaking for him, especially if you're playing for TSM and you're playing
Yeah.
for a playoff.
I think that's where the nerves come in, is like when he is, because he is playing with a team that's expected to win. If he made this on one of like the shit teams he was on, like he was like on a Optic or whatever, and they like instead of 7th, one of the splits they got 6th, and then they have to play against the 3 seed and they lose whatever. I feel like he might have like popped off a lot harder in that, but this is like a different thing where they're expected to like have a good performance. He's expected to win, which I know from experience, like that's just a much different mindset than when you like luck your way into playoffs and you're like, all right, let's give it our best shot. You know, that type of
Nothing to
shit.
lose. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it seemed to be like for me, because he didn't turn on until that game 3, and it was the
Yep.
same champion that he played in game 2 on Gragas, where he like
Or
remembered
game
how to
1,
use
yeah.
his skills. Yeah, or game 1, yeah.
Yeah.
So it seems to hinge on Akadian to unlock Bjergsen, unlock Broken Blade.
I don't even know, because it didn't even look like he was having that good of a game 3. Like early, like I don't think he had a specifically good game 3. I think it was mainly just like Bjergsen started popping off, and like when his team started like doing well, it gave him the confidence to like play well as well. It didn't feel like he was all alone out there. I felt like Bjergsen really showed his like veteran leadership in game 3, because I feel like that game could have easily went the other way, and he was just getting like good flanks and he was going for aggressive plays and really just like carrying the team, you know? And that's what I feel like you really need out of your star player.
Yeah, game 3 was split changing for TSM. Holy fuck. They should have lost that game. I think they should have lost that game 100%, but Bjergsen flanking on bot side with Akali and being able to insta delete Jinx. And that's where they burn a lot of their flashes too. So Bjergsen killed Jinx while Jinx burned her flash. So at that point, like he was gonna kill her in next fight, which he did. So he just killed her 2 fights in a row with great flank versus like a Jinx Tom Kench Jillian. Just fucking game changing.
I think that was also like horribly played by C9. Like if you watch the fight, they Zillion ult and Tom Kench W the Jinx in the same like frame, and then he just they just blow everything on him, and then they're just caught completely out of position. Then there's no, and then like Bjergsen just waits out the ulti and one shots the Jinx, and the game's just over pretty much.
Yeah, they were winning that fight, and they were trying to chase rest of TSM into a choke, and Acadian got a really great ult off where it pushed everyone back, and then I think they started panicking, because that's where the Zillion ult started going on Sneaky, Tom Kinch W'd early, even before they were seeing Bjergsen. I was like, what the fuck are you guys doing using your spell? But it literally could have been a 3-0 series if C9 played a tiny bit better in that team fight.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that was that to me was just like vintage Bjergsen. I'm like, damn, this is why like this guy probably should get MVP this split. Like
For sure.
he's just that player that in the clutch moments I feel like he always performs. You know, like every single time, even when TSM goes international and all that shit, even when they would lose, it was always like the reason why it hurt so much to watch is it was always like Bjergsen performing and all of his teammates crumbling around him.
Do you feel like they threw that in the draft? Because when I look at the draft a bit at game 3 and 4, that's when I feel like Cloud9 got a little cheeky with their draft. The one they gave Akali over to Bjergsen in game 3. In game 4, they gave Niski Zed for the Zed Zoe matchup. And then by that point in game 5, they're like, oh, let's go back to regular strategy. I feel like they lost all their momentum. But, I don't like questioning Reaper too much on his draft, but that seemed to be a little awkward there. Oh, and the Ornn in game 5.
Okay. Game 3, giving over Akali, like, that's a necessary evil. Like, I don't think that was the worst of things. I didn't think that was like that was a huge draft problem. But we can go to game 4. Game 4, first rotationing Jarvan. I actually thought that was hugely problematic. I think they gave Sven Jarvan because they probably had a discussion like game 3 wasn't your Jarvan. I know people are saying we can't play Jarvan in the series or we should move away from Jarvan, but I trust you. I'm gonna give you Jarvan anyways. The Zed thing was completely troll. I think the Zed Reaper said on his not his podcast, like on his Twitter or Twitch, he said on his Twitch that he was very honest about the Niski versus Bjergsen matchup. If Bjergsen gets the counter pick versus Niski, Bjergsen will get a huge lead and he'll have a huge effect on the map. If Niski gets the counter pick versus Bjergsen, it'll be a pretty even matchup. And that's exactly what happened.
So he's just pretty much saying Bjergsen is just way better than Niski.
Yeah, I mean, he was very realistic about like
Yeah, he's honest.
talking about the matchup. And
Yeah.
he doesn't hold back on when shitting on his players. And I don't think it's even that much shitting on his players. Anyone you ask would say, yeah, Bjergsen's better than Niski. That's just
For sure.
common sense. And he said it out loud. So he knows that if you give Niski a counter pick versus Bjergsen, it'll go pretty even. And I think that's exactly what happened. And Niski's Zed wasn't even that great.
Yeah, but I mean that to me isn't good enough. It's like, oh, so I think that my Zed is gonna be pretty even against Bjergsen in lane. It's like Zed being pretty even like that. I don't want Zed on my team if he's pretty even. I only want Zed on my team if he's like hard stomping the fucking lane, like, or he's like able to at least get a couple of solo kills and then he can split and he at least has pressure. Like in the 1v in the 1-3-1, he at least is able to like pressure the lane in, has the ability to rotate. Like, I need my Zed to be doing something to validate it being a Zed pick, because you literally get nothing out of that champion but pure damage.
Yeah, I liked it so much better when they were playing stuff like Morgana, Zoe. What's the other one I really like?
Zillion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff like that on Niski, and putting carries more on Licorice or Svenskeren or Sneaky, I thought was the right way to go for C9, and it felt like they understood it in game 1, 2, and 3. And that sudden step away into Zed and giving TSM opening for game 4 was so odd.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a fan of the draft in general, but like I think that exactly what you said. When you play against somebody who's a monster like Bjergsen, when that's like the star player, you always want to give your whoever's matching up against him, if they're not at that level, like something that will like neutralize him, which is what the Zillion pick is. It's like what the Zoe pick is. It's something where it's like, okay, you're not gonna shit on me that hard, and then you rely on getting advantages other places.
I also thought they didn't utilize Licorice very well. Like you said, you want to make sure you neutralize mid lane. Then let's put pressure and priority onto top side. Licorice and Svenskeren are probably one of their 2 strongest players. Why not give them the ball? Why not put Licorice on carries? Like going back to Ornn, oh my god, for game 5, I was pretty shocked.
Yeah, going back to I didn't like the Ornn game 5. I also didn't like the Jarvan first pick game 4. When you like Rek'Sai versus Jarvan, at least the way I perceive that matchup is like 1v1 and like 2v2, it's Rek'Sai favored. Like Jarvan provides more in like team fights because he has like multiple man knockup, he has like his ult, like whatever, if they have like immobile backline. But when you first pick it, the enemy team doesn't have to go for immobile backline. Like if you saw what TSM did, they're just like, okay, you want to go for that? Okay, we have Zoe. We have Zoe, which is kind of immobile, but not like super immobile. Like you can at least dodge out on ult damage, things like that. And Ezreal, right? And Ezreal is what is the most mobile AD carry in the game. So to me, if I was like Cloud9, why would you not want to take the Rek'Sai over the Jarvan in that matchup, knowing that Akadian had like bad Jarvan games, like, or he had a bad Jarvan game this series?
And he looks great on Rek'Sai. Akadian looks amazing on Rek'Sai, so you're taking away Tool away from him too. I think they made good draft adjustments in game 5 other than the Ornn thing, because they went back to Zoe Rek'Sai for game 5. So I really like the mid-jungle duo they were going with, but I thought it was one game too late, and also putting Licorice on Ornn was also, not the greatest.
What would you rather seen there? I mean, obviously they wanted some sort of engage, but they already knew that TSM had Braum. So what else would have been there?
They already drafted All-Star from bot side, and Licorice on a carry it's not engaged, but it is a flank in team fights. It is like a secondary engage. Like you watch him play Aatrox, he'll always be coming in from an angle, and it will be secondary engage. You already have an All-Star, so I think it's fine that you don't draft additional engage from top side.
I mean, I don't know if like Ornn is even good there anyway, because you're playing Ornn into Braum, right? And Braum is one of the historic counters to Ornn, because when Ornn calls his like ram or whatever, the Braum just shields the opposite direction, blocks the ult, and then you don't get that engage. So like, I don't even know if Ornn is a great engage champion, because if the Braum has a shield up, you actually never get an engage in that situation.
You think that was a BM to Smoothie? Reaper being like, I don't think Smoothie has the discipline for it. That's why we got rid of him. He's going to leave some openings open and allow Licorice to come on in.
That's some petty ass shit. Like game 5 versus your rivals, and you're like, guys,
they picked Zed!
Remember that one time where we benched Smoothie and then he went to another team because we picked Zazel over him? Okay, we're gonna try to shit on him right here. Oh,
like, no one would think about that, I don't think.
That is not a storyline. That is not a thing. We're not
All
gonna
right.
make that a thing.
Yeah, petty dGon. All right, cool. Anything else? Thoughts on this series before we move on? We'll talk about the finals afterwards. You want to talk about Cloud9?
Anything else? I thought Cloud9. I still think Cloud9 was the better team, and I think they broke down in the series. But when TSM wins, like all the credit to them. But I think if this best of 5 was played 100 different times, Cloud9 would come out ahead more times than TSM.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I just think that C9 would get such an advantage early in the series anyway. Like TSM really does not look like themselves early in the series. Like their game ones are just terrible. Like even versus Fox, it's really really bad. So I think that's why I would still call TL a favorite, because I think when TSM's playing their best, they're probably slightly better than TL, but they don't start at their best. Where I feel like TL goes out and they play like their best almost
All
every
the time.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
like
sure.
in playoffs at least, from what I've seen.
All right, so this is less about TSM winning it, more Cloud9 losing it. But you're speaking about TL. Let's talk about their series with FlyQuest. That was, you call that a series, I guess. That was very quick.
Stomp.
It was a stomperino, dude. Go ahead, Dom.
I don't know. It must feel so bad to be Pobelter and like talk shit and then just get like so brutally stomped. Like it literally looked like, okay, so this is, you know how like Loco said, oh, if you played this series 100 times, it looked like FlyQuest would never win that series if they played it 100 times. Like if they played it 100 times, maybe they win it once or twice. Like that's it. Like they got fucking destroyed oh man, even when they tried to play standard, they got shit on. I don't know. I felt like they were just so outclassed in terms of team play.
TL is one of the best teamwork teams. I think C9 is the absolute like most well-rounded coached and the teamwork team. But when it comes to playing towards bot lane or executing some things, TL is the better teamwork team. And also, I don't feel like FlyQuest has any kind of like something special to beat TL. Like for TL versus TSM, I think Bjergsen is something special. Like that helps them win versus TL. When it's Cloud9 versus TL, I think like Licorice plus Svenskeren, like top side of the map, is something that can beat TL. What way does FlyQuest beat TL?
I mean, it's like the
don't
same
see a
way. It's just the same way, but it's worse. It's like, oh, we don't have Licorice, but we have
Viper.
Yeah, we got Viper and Santorin. Like they're slightly better, I guess. Maybe. Like I don't know. I think that in general, they just match up so terribly into TL, because I think to beat TL, you need to be able to like have a bot lane that can like withstand the pressure, and you have to be very coordinated to be ready for those like 5-man plays or like 4-man plays, whatever TL does on bot lane. And it seems like FlyQuest has such bad like communication about that stuff. Like I feel like out of all the teams that were top 4, FlyQuest is number 1. I think they were by far the worst out of the 3, or by far the worst out of the 4. But I think that like their main thing is their coordination is so much worse than the other 4 teams. Like there's so many issues that they have with just making like bonehead plays, like just, oh shit, like what the fuck were you guys thinking here? Like that doesn't seem to happen as much with the other teams than it does with FlyQuest.
Do you feel like if game 1 would have gone the way of FlyQuest, because Core JJ and Doublelift pulled out the Sonateric bot lane and it looked like they were withstanding them getting that point of scaling, do you think if it would have changed the outcome of the series a little bit? Maybe the mental is dented a bit by Team Loco for trolling that bot lane, because in the mic check during commercial they said we've only done this once, we've only practiced this once.
I mean, I don't think so myself. I don't know what you think, Loco, but I just feel like once they went standard, TL just shit on them even harder, it looked like. So
I think both teams were fine with the other side playing it and like okay with it. And also, you only waste 1 ban on Taric and everything's the same. I don't think they were like mentally that shook. One thing I want to say is, more so than the teamwork aspect, I didn't think they lost because they don't have good enough teamwork to play versus TL. I think they lost because jungle and top and mid were just so fucking outclassed. Viper was losing to Impact's carries the entire fucking time. Like Impact had priority the entire fucking time. And same thing for Pobelter. That Zoe Oriana game in game 3 just said so much, where Jensen's killing him over and over again, and they never have space to do anything because you're always losing in mid and top.
Yeah, I don't really know how much that that was like how the matchup would normally go, or if it was literally just fucking Pobelter being like, all right, this is going really bad, I gotta fucking carry this game somehow, and like playing with the mindset of like all or nothing rather than like I'm just gonna play out the lane like in the smartest way possible.
Yeah, that's definitely not how the matchup goes. It is not Zoe solo killing Oriana. That is not a normal part of the matchup.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who do you think tilted the hardest for FlyQuest? Was it Pobe?
If I had to say tilt, yeah, I would say Poe Belter.
Game 3 was not normal pole belter. When you think pole belter, like pole belter, you think of him gracefully losing. You don't
Yep.
see him get solo killed. You don't see him get blown out. That is not a pole belter thing, and we saw that. So yeah, I kind of agree. I think I'd probably say pole belter also.
When you look back at this FlyQuest team, do you feel like this is it? This is the peak. This is as good as they're gonna get.
Yep.
Third, fourth.
I think that this is like this is how the same way I felt about Golden Guardians and Echo Fox. I was like, these are teams that did better than they should have. When you look at that FlyQuest team on paper, you have 0 imports, right? Like obviously Santorin's an import, but he's grandfathered in, so it doesn't count as an import.
Yeah.
You have 0 imports on your team. You built an all NA roster. People had them finishing as low as 10th in the power rankings earlier in the season or whatever, or yeah, earlier in the split. So this is just like a great performance for them. Like they got 4th. Like there's no way that they were going to be better than TSM C9 or TL. They shouldn't be better than TSM C9 or TL. So getting 4th is probably the best result that they could have got in this split.
For them to get higher than 3rd and 4th, either C9, TSM, TL need to fuck up really badly with their roster going into summer, or they make significant upgrades. But in terms of like how it's playing out with the rosters they have, I agree. It's really hard for them to break that top 3 because they don't really have a star carried, and you need some star power to compete against the other star power on the other teams. Like friendship and teamwork is only going to carry you so far.
I mean, just look at their players. Like Wild Turtle's good, right? He had a pretty good split, but going into the split, could you say that Wild Turtle is a better AD carry than Sneaky, Doublelift, or Sven? Like that's like those are elite. Like you go through every position and it looks the same way. It's like going through the positions. Viper, do you think Viper is a better top laner than Impact, Broken Blade, or Licorice? Like those are like the 3 best in the league probably. Like almost every. I mean, if you look at like the way that the teams were put out on the like all pro teams or whatever, there was 14 out of the 15 players. Like obviously we talked about this. Maybe it's not accurate. Maybe there's only 13 or 12 out of the top 15 players on the top 3 teams.
That's still a lot.
That's still so many fucking players. Like they have just better players than the other teams in almost every single role. Like they're gonna just be able to win. Like I don't care if your team gets along better. It's like, oh, we're all American. That's gonna no. It doesn't fucking matter. Like if anything, that's a bad thing in League of Legends. So.
Yeah, they're just gonna have to wait for some of their players to develop. Maybe JJ and Viper, they're still very young, still very new to the league. But next split, for sure not happening. Maybe in 2020, we'll see.
I think Viper like had a really good split. Like this is probably the best that you could expect Viper to play. Like you have somebody who was a Riven one trick streamer 2 years ago who played Academy for a year and now he's your starting LCS player and he's probably the 4th best top laner in the league. That's fucking good. Maybe he's 5th. Maybe Hanser is better than him.
Yeah,
Who knows?
Okay.
But he's okay. So let's say he's 4th or 5th best in the league. Like that's a really good fucking rookie split for Viper. Like I think that's incredible. You know, like he did really well this split.
Wait for him to develop, but yeah, not happening next split.
All right. Well, thank you, FlyQuest, for a great season. But now let's move on to the main event. It's our finals. Not Cloud9. It's is that it? No, it's TSM.
TL.
I don't know what happened. TSM versus TL. Where's my TSM TL thing? It's gone. I'll have to find it later. TSM and TL. I'll put it up in just a second. Here we go, Scuffed. TSM. I don't have it. FaceCheck here. There it is. TSM TL. Unscuffed. Wham.
Excellent.
Gonna have to wait another week, Zyrene. All right, so TSM and TL. These two teams deservedly so at the top. TSM with the reverse sweep. TL just looking dominant. Is there any way?
Wait, it's
any way
still
that
so
they lose?
scuffed. It's like a quarter of the screen.
There it is. Unscuffed.
All right. Okay.
You just trust. It's lagging. Any way that TL loses this to TSM?
Definitely.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty open series. I don't think this is clean cut that TL's above TSM. And let's talk about the storyline first going into this. This is the first time TSM and TL has matched up in finals. And I know Steve and Andy are going to say some shit or do something about this. Like, they're both so confident and cocky about their team. There's going to be some kind of bet made. There's going to be some kind of charity that's going to be receiving shit tons of money.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think this is actually like way more hype than the TL versus C9 or the TL versus 100 Thieves series, where like TSM, even though they haven't won in 3 splits now, right? Like, or like they didn't win for the last 2 splits, they're still like the winningest organization in North American history. So whenever they're in the finals, you can never count them out. You always think that they have a chance to win, and it's almost like you always feel like they are going to win because they've won so much in the past. So I feel like this is the real test for TL. I mean, last season, like maybe the C9 series in finals felt a little bit like open, but versus 100 Thieves, you just knew TL was going to win. And
Yeah.
TL smashed C9 in summer anyway. I feel like TL probably is going to, like, I would think that TL would be slightly favored, but if TSM plays like they can play, I think they win. If they play their best league, I think they win.
I agree, but oh man, it's gonna be fuck. Who do you have winning it?
I have TL. I would put, if I had to put money on it, I would put it on TL. But like, I wouldn't be surprised if TSM won it. You know?
Yeah, I think this one's so hard to call because TSM has always been like a slow starter team in this playoff run, like you said.
Mhm.
And can you be a slow starter team versus TL and actually still win? Like, I'm not sure if you can. Oh my god, this one's gonna. I'm gonna have to think about it. Also, how do you think Jensen versus Bjergsen will go? Because I think that's a huge one, and I always feel like Bjergsen has a mental edge on Jensen.
Yeah, I feel like
Yep.
Bryson's like better than Jensen. I don't know. They're both really fucking good, but Pearson seems to like has always outperformed Jensen when it matters. So I think that Bjergsen will probably outperform, but honestly, I feel like Jensen doesn't need to play better than Bjergsen to win the series necessarily. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think that's what it relies on.
And I think that's the major difference between this Jensen here on Team Liquid and then Cloud9 Jensen, who will forever not press R in that Echo matchup and always have that on the back of his mind. Until Team Liquid is able to carry Jensen over beating Bjergsen, I don't think that Jensen will ever be able to stand up to Bjergsen. I think that's where the big issue is. And I think the other issue is Akadian, man. Like, are you going to get game 1 and 2 Akadian, or are you going to get 3, 4, 5?
That's what I'm actually really scared of for TSM is like Smithy is so comfortable playing in playoffs and finals and all that shit. Like Smithy will go out and just play the game like he wants to play it. And Akadian's going to have to go out with the same mindset. Like, I'm going to beat you in the early game. If Akadian is trying to follow around Smithy, or he's like trying to, like match Smithy, or he gets caught in like the mind games and shit, he is going to actually just get steamrolled. He has to go out and like play aggressively versus Smithy, because like Smithy's that's his weakness, right? Like when you see him early in games, maybe it's just TL's weakness. He's the type of player that can get absurdly behind. Like he's not the best at level 2 crab fighting. Sometimes he makes bad decisions in relation to priority and stuff. Like he doesn't react well to like invades. Like I'm telling you, man, like there's so many times for TSM, like if they do one of those like 3-man late invades, let's say they have like a Braum Ezreal or something, they do a 3-man late invade and they get Smithy behind, then I feel like they can just steamroll him. If they just play standard, I feel like Smithy's just gonna have the edge because he's gonna make more consistent plays than Akadian will.
I was worried about how Smithy would be in playoffs after kind of
but he looked good though.
Later half in the season, but
Yeah.
he looked really good versus FlyQuest, and Centaurion's not a pushover, and I think it's arguable. I think it's very fair to say Centaurion's better than Akadian, but a lot of jungling's about laning too. So depending on how mid goes, depending on how top goes, overall the series is so hard to call for me. How do you feel about top side?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like carry versus carry, Broken Blade should be just a better player than Impact, but Impact's just so solid. Like especially when it comes to big moments, he's always solid. Even when, like, so I was really worried about last Worlds when it's like, oh my god, it's fucking Urgot Aatrox. It's like it's kind of more of a carry meta than a tank meta. But even versus like the best players in the world, Impact was able to like match up. I feel like he plays to the
level of the opponent.
He plays to the level of the competition, not really the level of the opponent. Like if he plays against a really good opponent and the stakes aren't that high, I don't think he'll play that well. But if he plays against a really good opponent in a really high stake match, I feel like he plays really well to like the level of the stage.
I'm a little scared for topside because in game 1 for TL versus FlyQuest, Viper actually was doing really well on Irelia, and I think Broken Blade is a better carry than Viper, and they'll play the top side much better. So I feel like this series is more of TL is like a giant shield or a wall, and TSM's a sword. And if TSM can't break TL, then TL wins. But there is a chance that TSM can break them through top side, through mid lane. From bot lane, not too sure.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to ask. If you had to focus on one lane to try and break through and use your advantage of your TSM, which one is it? Is it you just go at Jensen through the mid lane, or what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the player that I think has the highest chance. I mean, it could be Broken Blade too. I think you just have to get Broken Blade or, you have to get Broken Blade or Bjergsen ahead. I feel like Sven and Smoothie will generally be weaker than Core JJ Double F throughout the series.
Yeah, it has to be top side if they're gonna break through. Cause think of where TSM plays to the most, and it's top side, and think of where TL is theoretically the weakest. It's top side. So if it's not from top side, where?
Yeah.
Sure and hate, it is not gonna be fucking bot lane. I think it's TL's gonna be so solid regarding bot side in finals. I can never see someone like Core JJ or Double Lift choking, and they're the kind of players that if rest of the team is playing badly, they'll ask for the ball, they'll ask to carry, they'll ask for the jungle priority. So yeah, if anywhere, it has to be top.
So, question from chat here. I think it's a good question, and it goes along with mine. Do you think you'll see Zilean picked or banned every game? Because that's a pick that both these guys, Jensen and Bjergsen, like to play.
Picked for sure. Banned, I would be really surprised.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be banned. I feel like TL will try to ban Kindred because I feel like that's like the one thing that Smithy doesn't really play that
Akadian popped off on.
the Akadian does use as his like counter picks to like Rek'Sai, because that's pretty much how the matchup goes. Like Karthus sometimes gets picked. If not, it's not that big in NA. In EU, it's like banned almost every game. But like Rek'Sai, Jarvan are the two strongest junglers. If you're a really good Kindred, sometimes you'll pick Kindred into the Rek'Sai or the Jarvan, and you like outscale it, and you have the ability to like win duels if you're able to like outplay, if you're able to Q the Rek'Sai's like knockup or Q the Jarvan's knockup. I feel like that's gonna be a big fucking ban for TL, because you want Xmithy to play like, if like for example when Xmithy was playing Skarner into Rek'Sai or something like that, if Xmithy's playing like Skarner, Olaf, or even Gragas into like a Jarvan or a Rek'Sai, where it's like you have to come and shit on Smithy or else he'll like outperform you in team fights. As a player, Smithy's best quality is the way he team fights. He is the best team fighting jungler in the league by far. So if you remove the Kindred and you give him that ability to like always have a better team fighter, or at least have like, you know, a pick that he's comfortable team fighting with, I think that that's just where they went out on the jungle matchup. So I'm expecting a lot of Kindred bans from TL, but maybe I'll be wrong.
What about the Sona Taric bot lane? Do you feel like both these guys will play it? Because you've seen Liquid play it, but you haven't seen TSM play it yet.
I think TSM will ban it game one.
It's a really interesting angle, because I feel like Zben Smoothie will be better Sona Taric players than Team Liquid will. But so when I talk to coaches and players on it, why they ban it if they can also play it, they say it's a confidence thing. Like you have to be able to show the other team first time like it can work and that you can do it. And going into second game, you just want to ban it, and you just don't want to have it in the game when the other team's able to execute. So I want to see if TSM will fall into the same kind of pitfall they did versus C9, because TL's gonna play. I feel like TL's gonna play Sona Taric worse than C9 did, and TSM's gonna be better about it due to just the players they have on the team. So I don't think it's that clear cut, and it is definitely going to be a contest for it.
Yeah, I just think that first. Well, I assume that TL's gonna get blue side first game, and I think that just means. Well, I mean, I guess the thing that people have to consider too is like we haven't seen anyone. Like let's say TL would first pick Sona or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or first pick Taric. Do you think that TSM in any world would ever like take the other piece away? Like they would pick Taric and they'd play a lane with Taric just to deny the Sona Taric and then force Core JJ on the support. Like I feel like that's
pretty troll.
I feel like that's an angle that people like you can split up the Sona Taric. Like you can take a Sona or a Taric and have it just be a support. So
yeah, that's something that can happen. But as we said, if they take Taric and you take Sona, they could always pick Karma too. So it's pretty up in the air.
Yeah, but Sona's generally speaking pretty good into Karma, like as a champion.
I'm not sure how Sona plus regular AD is gonna work versus Karma plus Taric. We don't even have to get into the nitty gritty of that, but yes, there's definitely gonna be mind games and there's gonna be draft battle regarding Sonateric, and it's also going to be an interesting point in the series that we can look forward to.
All right, final thoughts on the finals here between TSM and TL. Who you guys got?
I got TL winning 3-1.
Loco, I know you said you wanted to think about it, but time's up.
I don't want this to be an echo chamber, so I'll go with TSM 3-2, and I don't even think it's that bullshit of an answer. I do think TSM has a legitimate shot at this.
Yeah, I don't think it's bullshit. I think your opinion's your opinion. Yeah, 3-2 Team Liquid for me as well. Put it down on the record books.
Sometimes when people talk about, like, people just disagree to be different, I think a lot of times it's a bullshit answer. For this one, there is a legitimate world where TSM does win.
All right, so there it is. Your matchup here. You heard it here first from FaceCheck. 2 TL wins, 1 TSM win. You guys asked for it, and we're going to give it to you for this next topic. Get some Europe in here. LEC. Let's talk about the Splice versus Fnatic matchup that happened yesterday or a couple days ago. A couple days ago, with Fnatic taking the victory over Splice 3-1. And Nemesis doing a pretty cool Caps shout out. But Dom, why don't you go ahead and take this one to start it off?
Wait, are you talking about the Vayne mid?
Yeah, the Vayne mid.
I don't know. I feel like Fnatic is actually really fucking good right now. Like, people don't realize how good they are because of like how bad of an early split they started for. But like, Fnatic is one of the scariest fucking teams. Like, I think Fnatic's gonna be Origin for sure in like the second, third match, and then I think they're gonna like it's gonna be a Fnatic G2 finals, and I think it's gonna be a fucking hype ass finals. Like Fnatic G2, that's what everyone wants to see, right? Caps versus old team. I don't know. I feel like every weakness that Fnatic had in the beginning is like shoring up, and they actually just look like, if you look at their last games, they have the highest like win rate out of the last like 15 games or 10 games that they've played.
11 games in a row. Yeah, they're win rated.
Yeah, 11 games in a row, and then they won like they 3-0'd first round. Didn't they 3-0 first round? I'm not 100% sure.
I think they ran through
Vitality. They 3-0'd Vitality.
Yeah, so they did. They fucking hard 3-0'd Vitality. I just remembered like the series, the Kale game in game 3 where Nemesis just like pented them on the fucking fountain. And Splice, I mean, they lost that one game to Splice that game too, but they just seem so fucking solid right now. I don't think that any other team in EU can match up to Fnatic and G2's macro. It seems like they're so much more solid than the other teams on like 1-1, making their like split second decisions on when to like keep pushing in the side lane versus like when to team fight. I don't know. I feel like they're extremely good right now.
If G2, when we talk G2 and Fnatic, I actually want to separate them because I think Fnatic macro is so standard and they're just doing very textbook League of Legends. Get priority, team fight in this way, make sure you're flanking on top of wards, make sure you have good vision. A lot of their things are based on good fundamentals and repeating it again and again, where G2's is almost strictly
abstract.
About 1-3-1 and like very outplay and very abstract based about like just having god tier players and kind of allowing those god tier players to do their thing and playing along with it.
I think that's like the coolest thing about G2 is their early game honestly is not what it was before. Like if you watch the like beginning of the split, they just won like every fucking lane and jungle every game and just like steamrolled teams in the most brutal ways. They're actually like going down pretty heavily in games. Like I think for I guess if we're switching to like Origin and G2 for a little bit, Origin played a much cleaner early game in game 1 than G2 did. Like they were on point. Like they had better decisions with like, I thought Cold just essentially out jungled the fuck out of Jankos. Like he got he had priority in top and mid. He got the crab, move bot, gank bot, burned a TP, gank bot again, got 2 more kills. Like he was just all over the map, like making plays. And Jankos was essentially just AFKing and waiting for his team to carry him. But I think that's what's so crazy about G2 is even like Jankos is the type of player where he's a ganking jungler, right? He's a jungler that likes to have early pressure. You know, he was the first Blood King for a while, but even now, like even if you look earlier in the split, he's the type of person that is really good about setting up kill angles. Like he understands very well, like, okay, if I'm just in this lane at this timing, we'll kill him. And that's why his Elise is always so feared, is because he understands very well, like, oh, if this lane is pushing, we can just straight up fucking 100-0 dive this person. Like he sees kill opportunities that a lot of other junglers don't see. But even when he has a bad game and like he goes for like risky things, like he tries to outpath and he tries to be like super cerebral. I mean, that's essentially what happened in the Jarvan versus Rek'Sai game is like you'd almost always expect a Jarvan or a Rek'Sai to golem clear, to go red golems crab, or like red golems race, get level 3. Like Rek'Sai wants to get level 3, but instead he went red buff to straight top crab, or he went red buff to his blue because he thought that Jarvan was going to do the red buff into like EQ over the Baron wall and take his blue. He thought that Cold was going to do that path, so he tried to like mind game it and be there to prevent Cold from doing that. But like even when he did all that stuff and it failed, and it was like, okay, Cold didn't go for that, and then he got the crab and he lost his flash. Players like Caps are just good enough. Players like Caps and Wonder are just good enough to just fucking carry a game alone, which I think is the huge strength of G2. Is like Caps in the side lane, Wonder in the side lane. They're so smart about like forcing the other team to react to their split, as opposed to like just what NA does, which is pretty much AFKing in the split push, where they're like, all right, I'm here. Okay, they sent one person. All right, what are we doing next? And they're like trying to leave. Caps and Wonder are like the type of players, they like shoving that lane down your throat. Like they're like, I'm going to go up and I'm going to hit the inhibitor and you're going to have to bring 3 people to stop me, or else I'm just going to take it in front of you and try to outplay.
Yeah. I mean, having 2 of the best solo laners and 2 of the best split pushers on the same fucking team helps a lot if you're trying to run 1-3-1. And a lot of 1-3-1 is split pushing before people are team fighting. Like you can't run 1-3-1 if they're already set up on Baron and they're ready to hit Baron. You can't run 1-3-1 if they're already set up on your mid lane and they're already hitting your mid lane turret. Like you have to run 1-3-1 by being faster on the tempo, and they do such a good job of that. Like Caps and Wonder are always, they know where they need to be and they're applying pressure before you're set up, so you're forced to deal with them first before you do what you want to do. They make them play you on their tempo.
I mean, I do see that like there were times, at least in game 1 of G2 versus Origin, where Origin had like the setup on Baron. Like they had the opportunity to potentially like exploit the fact that Caps was splitting like bot lane with Ryze and stuff like that, but it just seems like no team was able to, like, no team that G2's played when they get into that situation is smart enough to like make the definitive call where they're like, okay, Ryze is gonna like be hitting the turret, let's fucking finish this Baron in their face. Like it might be a 50-50, it might not, but like we need to like get this Baron right now. It seems like every team is just like so afraid to take those types of situations versus G2, because G2 has such like a high propensity to outplay you that people are afraid of that option. They're like, fuck, like yeah, we could commit to the Baron here, but what happens if like we get out team fought, or Jankos wins the 50-50 and then Ryze like loses it? Okay, let's just back off, and then they just end up losing more. So I feel like Fnatic's the only team that is gonna have like strong enough shot calling, and like they have like a solid enough play style. Like they're solid enough fundamentally. They're like, this is the play, this is what we're supposed to do, and we're gonna do it, and they're gonna have to respond to it.
Yeah, Fnatic has solid fundamentals, and I don't think they'll have that same kind of panic versus G2, but any other team struggles versus G2 so much because of that, because they keep putting you in uncomfortable position. And the game 1 situation you talked about, I think if OG was versus different teams, then maybe they'll be okay with it. But for G2, I think there is a lot of mental things for teams, because how strong they are in the side lane and how much, like, it's terrifying playing versus certain teams. Like you got that playing versus SKT, you got that versus playing versus TSM of the old, and I think European teams have that versus G2, where they second guess a lot.
So do you feel like there's no chance for Origin here in the second place match? For those of you that don't know, LEC has their 1 and 2 team play. The winner automatically goes to the finals. The second place team that lost that 1 and 2 match, which was G2 and Origin lost, has a semifinal match. They get seeded to the semifinals, and that'll be played in Rotterdam the day before the finals. So Origin already in with Fnatic beating Splice. It's Fnatic and Origin in that semifinal match. Is there any way for them to beat them? Because I thought that the Origin matches with G2 were closer than the Fnatic matches with Splice, even though Splice won 1 game with the Protect the Tristana comp.
Okay, so I think that Origin matches up into Fnatic better than Origin
Splice
matches up into G2 or Splice. So essentially, I think the Fnatic will be able to play against G2 better than Origin would be able to play into G2. But I feel like Origin into Fnatic is like a pretty good matchup for Origin, like because Fnatic does play like pretty standard League of Legends, right? They play pretty standard League of Legends where they draft pretty similarly every time. It's like, okay, Reckless is playing like an AD carry, and then like he's gonna hit late game. Nemesis just plays something that he's gonna be able to like. I mean, obviously he has a lot of different counter picks and things like that, but they normally just play like, okay, mid lane's gonna be another carry as well, and then Brox is going to either play Karthus or something that supports it, and Bwipo's going to be on like Jarvan duty most of the time. Jarvan he plays a decent amount of tanks. He plays some GP, but it's normally going to be focused around like the double carry meta. And I feel like Origin, that's more comfortable for them. So I can see Origin potentially winning if they show up like better on the day, but I think the Fnatic is overall a better team.
I think Fnatic is riding on a high and Origin's riding on a low after what happened in each of their matches. And this one's hard to. How much of you do you watch, Dom?
I watch a lot. I watch like almost every game, I would say.
Jesus, yeah, it's hard to call for me because while this one's a tight series and I don't watch EU enough to have a strong opinion one way or the other.
Yeah, I love watching EU. I mean, I think the EU is just like the play styles. It's just more exciting to watch than NA. They're way more outplay focused than NA. I'd say they're way looser than NA. Like people always think that it's like, oh, NA is bad because they're just, it's like a clown fiesta every time. I feel like EU is more willing to have a clown fiesta because they'll do more aggressive things. Like they'll do things like for example, G2, like a lot of the reason why their games become fiesta is because that's their way back into it. They're like, oh, we're losing. We're going to put you in bad situations where you're going to have to keep on outplaying us instead of just like grouping up and team fighting, where it seems like NA teams, once they're behind, they just lose. They group up and they're like, all right, let's control Baron Vision together. And then when somebody gets caught and they just lose the game. So yeah, I don't know. I enjoy watching I enjoy watching EU a lot, and I think that I think G2 is probably the best Western team right now.
It's fun to watch them. Definitely fun to watch them. All right, Dom, we'll put it on you since Loco doesn't want to make predictions. Who you got in the Origin Fnatic game?
I've got Fnatic winning like 3-2.
And then who you got in G2 Fnatic?
G2 Fnatic? Oh, that's such a tough one. That's such a tough one. I would think that G2 would win like 3-1 or 3-2. Like I think it's really fucking close.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think we wouldn't want it any other way, right? I don't want to see Origin against G2 again. I'd rather see G2 Fnatic and see Caps against Nemesis.
Yeah, it's super hype. Caps against Nemesis. But I just feel like Caps is just a better player than Nemesis, right? And
right.
Wonder, I mean, Bwipo's really good, but I think the Wonder's had a better split than Bwipo as well.
Yeah, Wonder's a beast, man. The
way that I think that Fnatic beats G2 is they just have to win through ball lane. They just have to have better ball lane, which could definitely happen. I think Hylissang, I think is really underrated right now. People don't really see how much of him, but he actually has been like hard smurfing while Fnatic's been like winning all these games. He's super, super solid right now. So that's where I think their advantage is. Like Mickey makes some big plays, etc. I think Hylissang is like a better support overall right now.
Do you think these lane matchups here for G2 Fnatic, we'll just call it G2 Fnatic, sorry Origin, are spicier than TSM Team Liquid?
Definitely. It's Cavs versus Nemesis. Like Cavs versus Nemesis, Perks versus Reckless, like even Yankos versus Broxa, like these are players.
What about Bjergsen Jensen?
Yeah, are we tired of the Bjergsen Jensen storyline here?
What about Bjergsen Doublelift?
The thing is, Bjergsen Jensen has just they've played so much that it's easier to have like a definitive answer on like who you think is better. Like
that's fair.
Bjergsen has beat Jensen a bunch of times. Like Caps is probably better than Nemesis, but we haven't like seen that yet, right? We haven't seen Perks versus Reckless bot lane yet. Like we saw it obviously in the split, but they went 1-1 in the split, so
yeah,
it's not a huge thing to me.
All right, so go ahead.
I think to a neutral viewer, like EU is way more hyped, but we're all fucking biased towards NA, so I'm actually more hyped about NA.
Really? I'm still more hyped about EU.
I think I'm more hyped about EU. There's some pretty cool storylines there. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I want to see Nemesis shit on Caps, which isn't gonna happen, but it would be like awesome if it did. All right, so that's going to be all for our topics. Now let's head over to our tweets of the week. I finally got the sound fix, so your ears won't get destroyed. All right, tweet of the week number 1. IG came out with their skins. Well, I mean, we basically already hit the Huhi one, so that was the number 1. But this is number 1 for tweet of the week. IG skins come out. A bunch of different skins here for different champions. Guys, any of them stand out. There was also a thread about the way their faces look, and it looks like the KDA ones, and they slapped on a new skin with the same KDA face for the females. Any of these pop out for you?
Okay, so I'll kind of explain why it looks the same and why it doesn't look the same in America. So in America, like we celebrate diversity a lot, and Blastoise, the champions insight or the data insight for Riot, has talked about how in America there's a variety of champions that's favored, like Echo. What's a weird one that's also favored? Thresh. But there's such a variety in NA, where in Asia, especially in China, it's all like Irelia, Misfortune, Ari, Caitlyn, Israel, like the attractive type, and that's what people want. And this looks like a fucking Asian MMO skin line, and that's exactly what it was catering towards. So I don't think it's weird that all the faces look similar. It's catering towards an Asian fan base, and this is exactly what an Asian
Wait,
fan
Loco, are
base
you
wants.
saying all Asian people look the same, dude? What the fuck?
No, I'm telling you, all Asian people have a same ideal look type that they like, and this is it.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, because the big thing was that the faces were so pointy, the chins were pointy, and they all kind of looked the same face, just in a different pose, I guess. I personally didn't really care about that. It didn't seem to. I didn't know what the ruckus was until people started making a big deal out of it. Dom, did you care about what they look like?
I mean, I don't care about skins in general. So like this to me, it's like whatever the fuck. I don't fucking care what outfit your character has. Like nice costume, bro. Like whatever.
Dom knows he's never getting his own skin.
Yeah, I know. I
He's
know.
just jealous.
Hey, I had a bad experience with skins before at Riot, you know, so I'm trying to stay away from the topic.
All right, well, that's our first one. Invictus Gaming getting their own skin line. Check it out at the Riot store. Give Riot your money so that they keep making the game. And don't worry about the faces. They're basically the same. Number 2, though. This is the spicy one right here. Tweet of the week. Coming from everyone's favorite non-Riot caster anymore, Monte Cristo. Hilarious that Riot would immortalize one of Doa's most iconic calls in LoL after spending years after that moment telling him that he wasn't good enough to cast international tournaments. If you didn't see it, it's because Zed, the new Super Galaxy Zed, whatever it is, has the call that Doa made that got us all into League of Legends. Oh my God, look at the moves. Faker, what was that? You know, it was a fantastic call. Faker 2013 against KT Rolster in the finals, where he outplayed the crap out of Ryu, and that's where you got Ryu face. A lot came out of that game, and now Monty stepping up and chiming in saying, hey, it's not very fair that they're making the skin out of that. Loco, you know Monty, you know that call, you know Doa. What are your thoughts on this?
Riot used to be very, very internally driven and very like against using freelancers, and they were like, our casters are the best, and if you don't think our casters are the best, then you're just kind of fucking stupid, and we just need to use casters that we have because they're so great. And this was when they had Jet, this was when they had Rivington, Freak, and like the EU casters also. And they were very not open about using people from Korea. And Monty was the only person that was kind of given credit because Monty was so well known, and everyone credited Monty for being a very good analyst and a very good caster, where Doa never got the credit. So when Doa was not asked to cast in All Stars, and not asked to cast at Worlds, like Monty and Doa both were very salty about it. And I think Monty actually didn't go to certain international tournaments because Doa never got invited.
Yeah, to follow up on that, here's the follow-up tweet from Doa. And I feel for him on this one. We don't feel you bring the gravity necessary for serious matches. They told me on a Skype call before they offered me All-Stars in 2015. I turned them down, and they came back a few weeks later with a Worlds offer. Would have been fun to do a couple more, but c'est la vie. That's heavy. Like, that's heavy right there to be told, hey, look, you're doing champions. Everything you're doing in Korea is massive. This is the apex of esports, but the way that you cast just isn't good enough for a broadcast. That just seems rough, guys, don't you think?
I mean, I can see where they're coming from with that, because if you remember, like, Doa and Monty's casting, like, it was very like arbitrary and random sometimes. Like, they'd be like, oh, let's like talk about like a made up skin or a storyline that has no relevance in this for the next 20 minutes, and they would just like joke around and talk about random bullshit, and people were like, oh, we love that camaraderie. But I guess Riot is the type of people that are like, okay, we want to at least be talking about the game some of the time. So I can understand where they came from with that, but I still think that Doa is just a good enough caster that if you told him like, okay, be a little bit more serious, don't talk about random fucking skins that you made up in your head, like during the broadcast. I feel like he'd be able to still like perform well as a caster.
They were just against using casters outside of the Riot team. So I think that's literally what it was. And because they had questions like, who do you think is a better caster, Monty or Jat? That was like an actual interview question they asked casters like trying out. And if you said Monty, like you would get told why you were wrong. Like this was during that era.
I just want to say when I applied there, that never was asked of me. They never asked me that.
Okay.
It was.
Your era was much later.
Was I too late?
Yeah.
I do think
there was
though
a
that
time where internally, like they did ask that, Daniel, and they were very against using outside casters, and it was just about the casters they have on contract.
right.
I mean, they were very against using outside anything, which is the reason why the LCS was created. They didn't even want other tournament organizers to be organizing League of Legends tournaments. Like that's just the Riot motto. Is like they want their shit.
Control.
Yeah, they want control of their own shit.
Right. I mean, same with IEM. That's why IEM Masters didn't have League of Legends anymore. You with the casters and the production quality. And I'll defend Riot a little bit to say they want control of it so that the quality stays the same. It's quality control because no one will forget the op sounds during the IEM Katowice, because the guys were just watching Counter-Strike while broadcasting League of Legends and accidentally like swap streams. Like that happens. But I think I'll defend him just a bit there, from the control side of things. However, I do think that if you go to a professional like Doa and are like, hey, look, we need you to do this or tighten up or whatever, Doa's been in the game for such a long time that'd be cool.
I think he's good enough.
Yeah. And I think the fact that he still remembers that quote and was willing to tweet on it, it's a point in his life, a memory that he's not going to forget, whether that was good or bad, it's now propelled him over to Overwatch and he's one of the faces and names there, but it kind of propelled him that way. So, all right. Any closing thoughts here on Doa skins tweet of the week, guys?
I think it's super cool that they are acknowledging Doa and they're putting this in a Zed skin because we all know that call out, but also, it is so typical of Monty to come out and make drama out of it.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
All right. Well, that is all we got. That's all we got for today. Do you guys have anything else you want to hit on before we close out episode 3? I'm
going to start streaming at 10 with another Listen Loco episode. But other than that, I don't have anything to say.
I'm good. Just make sure to check out the VOD when we release it. I'll try to promote it on the channel a little bit more, but yeah, it's not going to be on my channel. It's on another channel which I tweeted out before. Loki, it's like a Loki Entertainment, I think.
Yeah, Loki Studios.
Yeah, Loki Studios. So yeah, that's where the VOD will be. So if you want to rewatch it again or see some clips, some moments, whatever, it'll be there.
So the VOD will be up every 8 a.m. on Tuesday. So the show is on Monday 8 a.m. Monday 8 a.m. The show is live. Tuesday 8 a.m. the VOD is up. Remember that, guys. Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah, and we're working to get the podcast up soon on iTunes and Spotify very shortly. Thank you guys for watching episode 3. We made it. We'll catch you guys next week for episode 4 after the finals. Take care, everybody.